There are many humans that we come in contact with on Guam. On Something to Talk About, we talk to two exemplary humans, Bob Camacho and Ruben Olivas. These two men have taken on a project that will fill your heart, if not open your heart to your fellow man. That's ahead on Something to Talk About. Thank you for joining us on Something to Talk About today. I'm really excited about this program because it's a great adventure that a lot of people on Guam have seen. I want to get deep into what drove a couple of guys to create this incredible concept to learn about people on Guam. From the airport police, we've got Robert Camacho, Bob Camacho. Can we call you Bob?
Bob.
And then everybody knows Ruben Olivas. He's not only a celebrated photographer, retired fire department, right?
That's correct.
Nice to see you. Longtime resident, Santa Rita.
Santa Rita.
All right. So now that we've got everything, you guys feel free to get Tinella Cutney and Lumpia, and you know how it goes. What a cool idea it was for you guys to put together what is called Humans of Guam. Right? That's not a copyrighted title, is it? I mean, because you see humans of something, right?
Well, we have Humans of New York. And,
yeah.
People have, online have created different sites. Humans of Rome, Humans of France, Paris, and all sorts throughout the world.
Yeah.
So, you see it all around.
You don't have to have permission to use humans of anything, though, right?
No,
okay.
no.
All right. So, how did this come up with? First of all, how do you guys know each other?
Well, I've been in photography for about 3 years now, and I met him through photography. But I've also had a chance to meet him through the law enforcement community when I used to be director of DOC and all these other agencies. So I've known of him. I actually just kind of started knowing him since we started doing photography. Right.
Is that a small community?
It's into it. And maybe 100 people or so that are really active in it. Okay. Yeah.
Because I've seen a lot of your stuff. You know, I mean, did you take it up as a hobby or a habit after you retired from the fire department?
Well, I've always been a photographer pretty much since high school. When I took photography courses in high school. But then I went on the lines of job, public safety for almost 40 years.
Yeah.
It was always my dream to be a full-time photographer. Once I retired, I had the time, and I'm slowly evolving into a full-time photographer.
Yeah, and so you have this idea of capturing these characters that live among us, right? Characters, personalities.
Well, basically, last year we got together and we were talking about having this thing where we go out and interview people, and we never really did anything. We kind of just talked about it. But back in a few months ago, we were at a workshop together in the Philippines, and we learned about street photography, and we just kind of said, let's go and try it out. Just go out and start shooting.
Street photography, is that actually a category?
There's a category of street photography, yeah, right. And so as we were doing this thing, we went to this park in Makati, and there was this huge billboards with a picture and some story behind it, and it was called Humans of Makati. And that's when we said, hey man, we gotta do this now. We gotta do it, And so we decided when we came back, we started it up.
Wow.
So,
and then
and so it just evolved. We just kind of combined our talents for photography, our public service. I mean, we're lifelong public servants, and they just kind of meshed together and turned into the Humans of Guam. I mean, we just wanted to be able to try to help people in any way we could, and through this, we're seeing that we're really helping people.
Yeah. Is the idea behind the Humans of brand, is the idea to help people, or I mean, do you find sort of random folks on the street that you think look like they're in need of help? How do you find the subject?
Well, I think there's many facets to it. We're celebrating people who are successful. Want to cover those people also. People who are overcoming challenges, fun things maybe even.
Yeah, right.
So it's not just people who struggle. We want to kind of go over the whole gamut of covering people's lives in general. And maybe it can, touch and maybe transform somebody, bring somebody's spirit up, or maybe a call to action, Yeah.
No, how do you find the subjects? Do you just sort of, are you strolling all night and all day? Strolling the island looking for subjects? Or do you already have your subjects already in mind?
Well,
Well, the idea is twofold. You can just randomly walk the streets taking photographs, and if you see somebody that that looks like they may have a story, well, you may want to go and interview them or just talk to them in general and see where it takes you.
Yeah.
On the other hand, too, we know so many people here that are so interesting on Guam. Everybody has something that's happened in their life that they've learned from and an experience that could probably help somebody else.
Right.
I am a firm believer that everybody has a story. Clearly,
well, that's our tag. That's our tagline.
Exactly
pretty much. Everyone has a story, and that's what we want to play on. Is that, and as far as who do we go to? A recent story we did with Jason Cruz.
Right.
He actually contacted me and says, "Hey, somebody recommended that I talk to you," and I said,
the thing is that Jason Cruz is in the Department of Education. He's a counselor,
right? That's
and
right.
He's also a bodybuilder,
right.
And he happens to be blind.
Right.
Can you get any better of a story than that? I mean,
well,
that's the coolest
when
thing.
we posted his story, I think we've reached over 100,000 people throughout Guam and the United States, and it was shared over 800 times, and 3,000 some people have liked that story or so. So, it definitely made an impact. And if you look at that on the website, hundreds of people are commenting and talking about it and, getting inspiration, So that's, I think, that's the important thing about this. You can find inspiration, you can find hope, faith, and...
In everybody's story, there is something that is relatable to someone else on the planet.
Exactly.
And the cool thing... that you say is that you sort of, if you randomly see somebody and they look like they would be a cool subject, you just want to know what the story is. You have to have a natural curiosity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And you have to be able to approach people. And, we've been working in government service for a long time. I've also worked in community service, so I kind of have a little bit of that kind of for that, And then I think just smiling and just saying hello and half a day or whatever, it's already, it breaks in. And during some of our street photography seminars, they gave us tips on how to approach people, that kind of thing. So,
how to be disarming when you approach people.
Exactly.
Tell me about one specific story. This one stuck with me because everyone has seen her.
Yeah.
Everyone has stepped over her.
Yes.
Everyone has tried to offer assistance.
Yes.
She has asked for assistance.
Yes.
The lady that seems to have been abandoned by her family.
Right.
I don't know what her name is. What was her name?
We call her Miss K.
Miss K.
Yeah.
All right.
And
So Miss K has a story.
Right. She has a story, and I was doing some landscaping photography down at Paseo area, and I saw her, and I actually met her before. I've helped her, given her some food, stuff. So I just waved at her, hi, and I said, "How are you doing?" And just and she said, so I just kind of said, "Well, how's things doing?" And I'm doing okay. So we just kind of struck a conversation, and then I just started. Of course, now that I'm doing this Humans of Guam, it's like, man, this is a great story. Opportunity. So she just started telling me about her life and some of her struggles and about her family, and she's Korean and she has a family, and for some reason or another, things couldn't work out, and last time she saw her parents were like 6 years ago, and they're in some, she calls it some, instead of country, she said some nation. So I just tell her, and one of the things I asked her, I said, "Well, do you miss them?" And she said, this really hit me when she said, yes, of course, I feel I miss them, but I'm too angry to cry. So, I mean, just that short words that she gave me is like already hit me.
Yeah.
So I think when we see her and we have a different outlook, and people, the homeless are suffering from depression, maybe drug, alcohol abuse. And she even said that she gave up drinking, that kind of thing. And she looked actually better than I saw her previously.
Yeah.
So she had a story to tell, and we got a lot of feedback from
A lot of feedback.
Yeah, from her.
What's your most interesting one, Ruben?
Yeah.
Real quick.
Well, I can't really say anyone is more interesting than the other because they're all very interesting because they all have their own story. But I did a story on Big John, who's the Carabao guy over in Fort Soledad in Nematic. I mean, he's there all the time, and he gives rides. He promotes the Chamorro culture by doing that, and of course he doesn't accept any money for this. So his story, I got to find out, about his life actually. I mean, you just see the guy there with the Carabao, but I know him. I sat down right next to him and talked to him for a good half an hour. Found out that he had spent some time in the States and he had a job and he has a family, he has children and everything like that. So it was just very interesting to find out about his life, how he opened up to me. Then another one that I did just recently it was basically the same thing. Tony Montanonia from the Hot New Bakery down in Arahan, at the G Floors museum down there. I mean, he's been like a typical Renaissance man for the Chamorro culture. He does everything. I mean, this guy can make rope. I mean, he was raised in this environment down in the South. How to make salt, Chamorro dance, everything like that.
So he's culturally inspiring for sure. Yeah.
Right.
He opened up. He opened up his whole life. And it's
And
amazing.
we find that to be a lot easier, I think, in some people than it is in others. We're going to take a break here, but when we return, I want to hear what kind of makes you guys tick.
Okay.
What makes you feel like you need to, inspire other people. And I'm sure there are other things about your life that you have lent an inspiring story or two
Okay,
too.
sure.
So we're coming back with our friends Ruben and Bob. They are with Humans of Guam. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Something to Talk About. Ruben and Bob, both from Humans of Guam. This is a relatively new adventure. You guys just started, how long
About
ago
5
was-
weeks ago.
About 5 weeks?
That's
Look
right.
at the impact you guys have made in 5 weeks.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, let me start with you, Bob, because this is this is the story that has not been told pretty publicly, but you, in your private life, have undergone some medical issues that
That's right.
you have come out of.
Yeah.
Do you care to share?
Well, yeah, about a little bit over a year ago, I was diagnosed with cancer in my nasal area. And so I had to go through radiation treatment for several months in the Philippines. And glad to say I'm, in
100%?
recovery, yeah, right? But I still have to go every 3 months or so and to get checked up. And so I was quite fortunate, really. And very thankful that I survived that. It was a very challenging time.
Challenging time for you. A lot of that, I mean, you could read off of Facebook. A lot of I could see something was going on. I didn't approach you about it personally, but it was clear that your family had rallied together and there were issues. That there had been something.
Yeah, I was in photography already, so I thought that this was a good chance for me to actually, reach out to other people who are experiencing cancer. Yeah. So I actually had a little segment in one of my albums about the struggle of going through and some of my thoughts about family, friends, and having regrets and things of having a different look on life. So I did, as I was going through this challenge, I did post some of my updates of what's going on and kind of inspirational what I learned from all of this thing.
Well, that's what's really interesting is that you just reminded me that the photography and the skill or the habit, I call it the habit or hobby, it's therapeutic.
Yes. It's definitely therapeutic. Yes, there are a lot of times when people that old saying that when a photographer takes a photo, it's really a reflection of himself.
Right.
So when you see a certain kind of photograph, whether it's moody or if it's bright, it reflects the photographer's mood, or maybe his thinking at the time. So
Whatever's going through his mind.
that's what, yeah. So, I think when I was going through this thing, it was very helpful because all the patients that were surviving at stage 4 and all that, they were telling me, do not go back into the condo and sit down and, sulk. You just get active. So whenever I had some energy, I would go into do a photo shoot or energy. Maybe it was only for half an hour or so.
But you would go do something.
Yeah, because I was just too weak. I lost like 70 pounds.
Yeah.
And so, whenever I had that opportunity, I went and did something.
Did you
so it
find
helped
yourself,
me. It helped
what
me.
were you taking pictures of, though? Will you find yourself taking pictures of happy things or things that...
Anything that I could, but I also learned about fashion photography, landscaping photography, different things. I took whatever workshop I could. I remember traveling to a certain place. I only lasted maybe an hour at that location, and I had to go. I was even struggling to get to the taxi. Thought I was going to, collapse.
Yeah.
But I just learned from a lot of the people that were struggling and that were worse off than I was. I was inspired by them. So that was a very thing. So that's why there were lessons learned. Several lessons I learned from that time. That you think you're having problems, but there's always somebody else.
That's got
it worse. And that you have to learn how to appreciate some of the things,
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Ruben, on the other hand, you take photos of your garden to table. You take a lot of shots. I mean, these are really cool random shots that you take of things that grow in your garden. You capture sunsets and natural beauty.
Yeah.
You capture the beauty of food on a nicely decorated plate. I mean, the things that you capture, what does that say about you?
Well,
he's hungry.
I'm always hungry, or I'm feeding my wife.
Yeah,
okay?
right.
But,
Which is, I mean, and you mention her so much.
Yeah. Well, my wife, I look up to her. She's my life partner, and we're just a good team.
Yeah.
We go out there and we plant together. I love to cook for her.
Yeah.
But my photography is all about sharing right now is all about sharing the beauty of Guam in all respects, from the culture to the beauty of the island to the people. So it's I've been a lifelong public servant, and it just kind of goes hand in hand, public service and my photography, and it ended up being Humans of Guam, which is a perfect combination.
Yeah. And so this project, though, you're actually finding, subjects, looking out for subjects that actually speak. They're not inanimate objects, though.
Yeah.
So, you tell me about what inspires you about that.
Well, I know so many people on Guam, and I know that there's a lot of people there that have an awesome story and that we want to tell.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of will they tell the story. So there's people that I know that I approach, and I said, hey, we Humans of Guam, we have this Facebook. Yes, I know, we know all about it. I said, well, I would like to, talk to you about, possibly putting you on Humans of Guam, and never had anybody say no yet, right?
Yeah.
And on the other hand, too, that I like to also walk the streets of Guam and randomly approach people, which is not hard because it's pretty easy just to go up and talk to somebody, and just start talking to them because, you make their day when you start talking to them. A lot of people we call them the silent people, the homeless people. It's like nobody really pays attention to them, but yet when you take the time to go and talk to them, it just changes their whole day. I mean, it makes their day.
Yeah.
They really liven
Somebody's
up.
interested in something that I'm doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So and they're willing to talk.
Where did you grow up, by the way?
I was raised in central coast of California, Santa Barbara area, Santa Maria, and went to local schools there. Then I got involved with the military, and from there I just moved back and forth and ended up in Guam.
What branch of service were you in?
I was in the Marine Corps.
Oh, you're in Marine Corps?
Yes.
I knew there was something gruff about you.
Well, it wasn't the Marine Corps that was gruff about me.
So you just decided to stay, like a lot of guys did. They decided to stay.
Well, I met my wife over in California. She had made it over there, and we got married, and we were living there. I was a police officer in California, and it wasn't something I wanted to do the rest of my life. So I quit that, and while I was in San Bernardino area, we were living there. I asked my wife if she wanted to move to Guam because I had never been to Guam.
Is she from Guam?
She's from Guam. She was born and raised here in Santa Rita.
All right.
As a matter of fact, she was born in Santa Rita.
Okay.
And we came here in 1986. Never looked back.
Did you guys ever have kids?
Yes, we did. We have one son from a previous marriage from my wife, and 3 daughters.
Okay. Well, you have a load full of you too.
Yeah, 3.
You've got some beautiful daughters, by the way.
Thank
I see
you
them
very
on
much. Thank you.
Facebook.
Yeah.
How much of the social media do you depend on to get this out? Because you could, humans in New York,
Yeah.
and humans of Guam, and humans of other places, is the social media the place that they take these captured photos and stories? Is that the home for this venture?
That's pretty much it. Yeah, I think it's worked well for us, and who knows what else, what other areas we will, try to establish ourselves in. But I think right now it works well, and it's touched a lot of people. I mean, just recently we had this thing with covering the chapel of these Chukis family that are in Tijan, and I mean, so many people have responded to that, and they've received some help just from that little story.
Yeah.
So
So, what happens to this project? I mean, I know that there are future plans that we've talked about, but are there plans to capture all of this in still photography in a story form, as in a book or something?
Well, we're looking in that direction. We want to see where it's going to take us. Naturally, we're just having fun right now. And just telling so many different stories, and we're just quite amazed at how many people are actually affected by these stories. And eventually, we do want to be able to have enough stories so that we can put this in a book, because that again, the book could possibly inspire other people.
Right.
Is there a line you won't cross in when you approach people or a subject matter? Is there a line that have you drawn any sort of line?
I think you just have to read the person. You kind of first have to establish a relationship with them of some sort, like connection. And if you can't figure that out, you can't just go to every homeless person and
start asking
because
questions,
they might because they might be going through some mental issues or alcohol problems, so it can be dangerous, right?
Yeah.
And but we hope that we can generate enough interest so that we can establish something where we can build funds and give it to people that are homeless or experiencing some challenges, and maybe with some of the book sales we can do that also. And we're looking at some T-shirts that you're gonna.
And people have donated from or wanted to help. If
Yes. That's that's what we want to do, and do what we can to maybe if some family that might be in need of something or whatever. Just kind of doing more than just taking the photos.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's one thing is that we took something out of nothing. We made something out of nothing.
Yeah.
And it's actually having an effect on people's lives. And that's what it's all about. That's what really inspires us to keep going, to see how many people can be affected and helped.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. When we were in Makati and we went to that park and we saw this thing, Humans of Makati, it was big poster boards of story. I would love to see that maybe when this museum is done, or maybe
just sort of a billboard where people can sort of stand in front of.
and see different, maybe 5-10 stories that, people can walk around. And so, we can make that happen. I think, when we saw that, I said, man, we got to do this. This is great stuff. It was just exciting.
You guys have done a great job. Thanks so much. You can look forward. We're actually showing some photos as we're talking.
Okay,
of
great.
Certain things that you guys pictures that you've done. But I appreciate you coming down and talking to us about it, and look forward to a future relationship, at least together. We can do some things for the future to help
sure.
That'd be
other
awesome.
folks.
Thank you very
Awesome
much for the
me.
invite.
That's it. Thank you for joining us on Something to Talk About. We'll see you soon. We'll see you on the radio. Right.